All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Harakah, Kodash, giving double honors to all the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutes to all 144,000 elect out there. So we're gonna see what's going on with this ITV. This is from ITV News with this SpaceX spacecraft explodes. The explosion during test flight, right, sending debris flying across the skies. So I've been looking at a couple of these videos, just as you can see here, right? I've been checking up some of them as well, some of them, because this is not the first time, right? Elder Apostle Tahar done, he made mention of the Darbu 7, right? Dozens of mystery objects surrounded the test flight, right before it blew up, right? They're calling them mystery objects, which we know are the chariots of the Most High. So we're going to play a couple of these clips, but there's something interesting that I find quite interesting. Let's read this from the news article, ITV. So it says debris from spacecraft Starship lit up the sky after it exploded. This is what happened, the explosion. A SpaceX Starship aircraft exploded during its 8th test flight on Thursday, sending debris across the Florida skies, disrupting the air traffic. Nearly 2 months since the last explosion, Elon Musk SpaceX launched another 403-foot Starship, but lost contact with the spacecraft within minutes. This goes on to tells you the times and the dates. So Elon Musk has been trying his exploration. Is that not Jeremiah 40:31? Right? If you can deal with the sun, the moon, and the stars, if you can do away with them, right, then will I do away with Israel. Sun, the moon, and the stars, and everything under the sea and everything under land. So this is not that challenge, but the Most High is he's always trying a spanner in the works. And as we know, it's not the first time. We have the recent ones and we have the historic ones going all the way back into the 60s. So it says there, after less than 3 minutes of firing, the super heavy booster separated as planned from the Starship's upper stage, setting itself up for a successful landing within the chopstick arms of Marisla or SpaceX launch tower near Roseville, Texas. It's the third time SpaceX has successfully executed the chopstick booster. And it shows you the little images there, the video there. So they say it's the first time. Reading on, it says, however, less than 10 minutes into the flight, the Starship craft, which had continued towards space, began to experience issues. Several of the vehicle engines visibly cut out during the live stream, and the ship began to tumble before SpaceX lost contact within. So you want to read the rest of this, but there's an interesting thing here, as we saw, right, with the this what is it? Fair use. What does DAR 7 have to say?
This is Dabu 7. I want to share with you guys here some footage of this SpaceX explosion and some really weird anomalies around it. Call them UFOs, UAPs. Everyone on the ground had witnessed this. I was wondering if you guys had seen something similar. Now, here's a secondary clip, and this was caught down near Miami. And you can see the object coming into frame here, but there are all kinds of smaller objects that pop up in the sky.
Chariots of the Most High.
Raising the question, were there UFOs, UAPs surrounding this right before it blew up? If so, we need to know. We need to know what caused this to come down. And what
right, we know.
these objects, how could they have been so close to it? in the sky. Watch here as they put this into motion.
Chariots of the Most High.
They're all over the place.
Right, see?
They're all over the place. I'm going to play it again. You can see them lighting up. What are these objects? Mystery objects, UFOs, UAPs, all around the SpaceX flight before it blew up. Moments later, this is what they witnessed.
Alright, so there you have it. You want to see the video? There's some interesting videos on this. Jeremiah 10:2 says, "Thus saith Jehovah thy power," right? "Or thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathens are dismayed at them. Do not be afraid." We know what it is, right? They'll be saying there's all kinds of objects, and we know it's just the chariots, to say the least, And we're going to hit some precepts. So that I found interesting. So now we got to the bottom of that. This is what that is, and we know it's chariots, right? Even Darbu 7's got, which we believe, elders be saying, and possibly saying is possibly a Jake, anyway. So, but here's some more here. I was watching a couple of these videos. These are interesting. What people have been listening, what people have been saying. So it just led me to something else, because this is not the first time, right? We know we had the recent ones, and we had the latter ones, right? Going all the way back. This brothers be knowing about this man here. His name is Robert Jacobs, and he's been talking about this. He's been talking about this. His launch, his experience as a former Air Force pilot himself. We're gonna hear him what he's got to say. As a matter of fact, let's just run the video.
In 1964, former U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Bob Jacobs was in the 1369th Photo Squadron at Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. He was in charge of photo-optical instrumentation at a tracking site in Big Sur, 124 miles away. His mission was to film an Atlas rocket go through all 3 stages of powered flight. This particular mission was part of the Nike Zeus objective for the development of an anti-missile missile during the height of the Cold War. All cameras rolled as they heard liftoff from Vandenberg over their radio.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We were looking down southwest, and the missile popped up through the fog. It was just beautiful. And our guys on our M45 tracking mount with 180-inch lenses on it got it. And sure enough, we could see all 3 stages of powered flight as they burned out and dropped away. And then, of course, to our naked eye, all we saw was a smoke trail going off into subspace. So we whooped and shouted and heard the film wrap off in the BU telescope, and figured, well, that was our first big deal. We got it.
Lieutenant Jacobs then took the cans of film down to Vandenberg to have them developed that night. The following morning, Jacobs was ordered to go immediately to the office of Major Florence J. Mansman, ranking optical instrumentation officer in charge.
I walked into his office, and they had a screen and a 16-millimeter projector set up. There was a couch, and Major Mansman said, "Sit down," and there were 2 guys, as I recall, 2 guys in gray suits, civilian clothes, which was fairly unusual. And Major Mansman said, "Watch this," and turned on the film projector. And I watched the screen, and there was the launch from the day or 2 before at Big Sur. As the Atlas missile entered the frame, we could see the whole 3rd stage, which has 2 rocket nozzles like this.
In 19...
All right, so that's part 1. Former Robert Jacobs, former Air Force lieutenant. Right, so you got part 1. Now we're going to watch part 2 here. Right, so you're hearing it from the former Air Force lieutenant, 1964. He was giving his lifetime story. Right, he lived this. Right, so you can't make this.
2 rocket nozzles like this, and one in the center, a gimbaled one in the center, filling our frame from about 160 miles. That was pretty exciting optics. And then on that telescope, we could see the warhead, the dummy warhead.
According to Jacobs, at this stage the rocket was traveling between 11 and 14,000 miles per hour when a saucer-shaped craft entered the frame.
Right. That's off the chart speed, and a chariot entered onto the frame. Right? Was that over? That's off the chart speed. Let me just say that.
It flew into the.
Yep. Hear that again, man.
According to Jacobs, at this stage the rocket was traveling between 11 and 14,000 miles per hour when a saucer-shaped craft entered the frame.
It flew into the frame like this, and it shot a beam of light at the warhead. Now, remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. So this thing fires a beam of light at the warhead, hits it, fires another beam of light, and then flies out the way it came in. And the warhead tumbles out of space. Now, when the lights came on, Major Mansman turned around and looked at me and said, "Were you guys screwing around up there?"
No, it's the E's. They'll be screwing around up there, right? That goes back to Jeremiah 31. You know what I mean? Trying to measure the heavens, measure the, putting themselves in places they're not supposed to be. So.
And the warhead tumbles out of space.
Mosai sent one of his angels, chariots, to lick the warhead out of the sky. He was traveling over around 1,400 miles, 14,000 miles, off the chart. Off the chart, can't be measured anyway. They're saying that he was 1,400 miles per hour. It's off the chart, man.
Now, remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. So this thing fires a beam of light at the warhead.
Several thousand miles an hour.
Now, remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. So this thing fires a beam of light at the warhead, hits it, fires another beam of light, and then flies out.
While it's on the move, it's being circled by a chariot and being pinpoint accuracy, lasered out of the sky. I'm fascinated.
Flying at several
I'm so
14,000 miles per hour when a saucer-shaped craft entered the frame.
It flew into the frame like this, and it shot a beam of light at the warhead. Now, remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. So this thing fires a beam of light at the warhead, hits it, fires another beam of light, and then flies out the way it came in. And the warhead tumbles out of space. Now, when the lights came on, Major Mansman turned around and looked at me and said, "Were you guys screwing around up there?" And I said, "No, sir." And he said, "What was that?" And I said, "It looks to me like we got a UFO."
Nearly 2 decades later, several letters written by Major Florence J. Mansman were obtained. In one dated March 8, 1983, Major Mansman corroborated Lieutenant Jacobs' story. In the film, the assumption was at that time extraterrestrial. Details would be sketchy and from memory. The shape was classic disc. The center seemed to be a raised bubble.
Now, Major Mansman said to me, after some discussion about it, he said, "You are never to speak of this again. As far as you're concerned, this never happened."
In another letter, Major Mansman describes how 2 agents took the footage.
Yeah, they wanted it covered up.
They did not sign out for all the footage, but took out that part that showed the encounter and returned the rest of the film as a complete package. The one agent stated as he handed me back the film, "That leaves you off the hook, but not off any disclosure. Understood?" Naturally, my answer was, "Yes, sir."
Major Mansman never saw it again, and as far as I'm concerned, or nobody else ever saw it again. Certainly not at Vandenberg. I'm certain that it left Vandenberg and went somewhere else.
Right. Do you have it?
Any disclosure.
Enough said, man. Enough said. That's from the former himself. Right? You could really check up about him. This was the former Air Force chief claims he once saw UFOs, firing at nukes missiles launched from Sacred Base. Robert Jacobs, right? You could check up about him yourself. When you just check up about him, find out the information it says there, right? I just tapped in. Who was Robert Jacobs, right? And it says photo optical officer with the U.S. Air Force. And you can find out a bit more, the information you need to know. And he gives, as you saw, we just saw, he gave us the breakdown. He gave us the breakdown of his own, from his own experience, first-hand experience. Chief Lieutenant, right? Dr. Jacobs, right? But the next day, Dr. Jacobs, now a professor at Bradley University, he's now a professor. I'm assuming he's giving lectures on it. Professor at Bradley University said he was called unto the office of the Major Florence J. Madison's, where the people in grey suits were standing, whom he later claimed were CIA, right? And they told him to shut it up, right? As we just looked at, they told him to cover it up, do away with the evidence. So we're not dismayed, man. You see, this is not the first time. Nearly 2 months since the last explosion, and they've been continuing to keep trying to go up to space. It's a continual thing for them to try and go up there, and we've got the scriptures to back it up. His story, right? And we also got the scriptures, right? We hear it from the man's experience himself. Let's read Obadiah. And we got the scriptures to back it up. There's the man himself right there, right? Obadiah 1 and 2. We start with 3. It says, the pride of thine heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Right? That's an arrogant challenge. He's challenging. Right? Who can beat me up? Who can test me? You can't test me. I've got no zeros on my record. I'm invincible. That's the pride of Esau, as it's saying there in 4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh thy power. Right, so you got a little glimpse of that there, right? You got some glimpses there, right? The Space X, its spacecraft explodes during test flight, sending debris flying across the sky. Even Elon Musk, you know, you want to check up about some of these videos, anyways. Elder done already done a video on it, and I just done a little bit of my 2 cents, because I wanted to do, you know, like I like to do, get the background, a little bit of the background with this man here, Robert Jacobs, and there's more. I just tapped in Robert Jacobs. Right, it's interesting. His name is Robert Jacobs, but there you have it, man. Right, that's what became of it. The chariots, they say, dozens of mystery objects surrounded the test flight right before it blew up. So doesn't it sound familiar? It's familiar with what Robert Jacobs said? The chariots always come along and spoil the party. This is what it's about, right? Because we're the party poopers, right? Ultimately, the elect. On September 14th, 1964, he was in charge of 100-men unit. Jacob has been dispatched to the Big Sur in California to photograph with high-speed instrumentation, right? And this is at the time it happened, September 14th, 1964, right? And he gave his testimony, right? And we saw that. So let me hit the precept, because this is what they be trying to do, right? Mosai, they send that challenge. The Mosai gave them a challenge. They offered a challenge saying, who can bring me down? The Mosai bring them down in so many ways, different types of ways. And the ultimate payback, James Brown's song, the big payback, right, is when the missiles come, right? And it's going to be like what happened to Saddam and Gomorrah. Fire and brimstone via missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, right? Here's the challenge that the Mosai put to them. Since they thought they were so bold and invincible, all right, let's see. Jeremiah 31 and 35 says, thus saith Yahweh, which giveth the sun for the light by day, and the ordinance of the moon of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. If those ordinances, right, this is what they be trying to do, right? Elon Musk and all of them, right? Not just Elon Musk, but a lot of others, philanthropists, Jeff Bezos and what's the other one? Richard Branson and a lot of others, putting that challenge, trying to break the challenge, yeah? You know, where the most I expose them, man. You see, just bring them, send the chariot, the angels, just surround the SpaceX and just bring it down, make it explode. So many ways, different ways he's got, the Most High's got to destroy them, to bring them down. Right? Night which dwelleth to the sea, when the waves thereof roar, the Lord of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith Yahweh, or saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Right? They're trying to measure. Right? That's what they're trying to do, as it says here. So we're going to end with this one. 37, it says, Thus saith the Lord, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundation of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all their seed of Israel. Right? Cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith Yahweh. So when you be hearing about these SpaceX and space explorations and Project Blue Beam and this one here with the 1914 that was brought down, you hear the testimony, right? The nuke, right? Missile was hit by a nuke, as the story goes. The missile was hit by a nuke. Right? Air Force chief claims he once saw UFO firing at nukes missiles launched from secret base. Firing at nukes. So the nukes brought you down. Right? Whatsoever a man soweth, that he should also reap. He that setteth a nest or setteth a trap, he himself shall fall unto it. There you have it, man. So, this is what happened, yeah? Thus saith the Lord, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundation of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all Israel seed, of all the seed of Israel, for all that they have done, saith the Lord. You're trying. But the Most High in Obadiah said you're going to have to be brought down. Doesn't matter how you can be trying, man. You're going to be brought down. And that's also in, you're going to be small. Once again, that's in Isaiah 14 and 21. You're going to look at you and say, is this the man? Isaiah 14 and 16. Is this the man that shook kingdoms? So there you have it. Right? We're not dismayed, man. All the other heathens are dismayed at them. But we're not dismayed. Because we know the ultimate results. When Yahushua return, that's that grand finale. He gonna put the icing on the cake in the midst of the war. WW, right? WW3 gonna put the icing on the cake. Hence you heard it. So the Wada Yoba Shimashah once again putting the spirit on me to do this video. Until the next one, we out.